Hello everybody, welcome back to another league race video. This time it is round 2 at Houston Karting Complex, and we are green starting in P5 here, immediately dropping to P6 through turn 1, back up to P5, back to P6. Yeah, qualifying for this race was pretty frustrating. The kart I had wasn't very predictable, I'll say. If you got on the throttle at all, it would understeer, and then after a little bit it would just kind of throttle up very, very quickly, so you would get a huge amount of just spin. And then if you got off the power at all, it would oversteer like crazy, so it would oversteer and understeer and oversteer, and it was just very, very hard to kind of get a grip on it. But qualified 5th. This race was supposed to be, I think, about 2 weeks ago, but ended up getting delayed because of the good old Texas weather. Yeah, I ended up setting a new personal best on this layout here. It's a very, very fun layout. It's not quite as taxing as the full layout, so to speak. Almost get alongside, but not quite. Have to back out. Yeah, it's a lot of the action that happens in the low speed. So in this corner, and then the next corner, this left-hand hairpin, and then hairpin after that. This one. 90% of the action on this layout happens here, and the reverse of this direction also happens here. But I get alongside into turn 5, I believe. Stayed on the apex a little more than I expected, but did move up into P5. A little bit of a gap up to P4, so hopefully we can bring that down. Try and get some divisions here onto lap 4. I don't know if it really comes across, but the kart was hopping quite a bit into technically turn 10, but in this direction, turn 1. This is very frustrating. It happened a lot during qualifying. You couldn't really do anything about that. But in the race, it happened occasionally, and that was just it throw off your whole rhythm. You got to correct it, and you're slow through the next couple of corners. It's just not fun. We are gaining on the 2 in front, battling decently hard here. Yeah, it's we have our first safety car incident behind somewhere. We're gonna go ahead and jump to the end of this here, starting us on the dirty side of the track. Very, very smart. And we are green. I can't pass before the white line there, and nothing happened in the first corner. Nothing happened in the second corner. Does anything happen in the third corner? No. What about the fourth corner? Also no. That turn number 5, I was pretty fast through. I think I would say faster than average. So a lot of the good pace I would get through turn 5 there. Looking about a dive bomb, but not quite getting alongside, so not much I can do there. This layout, we have someone on my inside here. Quite. But this layout, it's kind of hard to get alongside unless you have some insane speed relative to the kart in front of you. Because coming out of turn 5 here, we have some pretty restrictive S's. I'll show you here. So this left and then this right here, unless you're alongside into 5, you're not going to be alongside out of 5. So unless you're right behind the kart in front of you and they make a mistake and they're slow, and you can time it just perfectly, then maybe you could be alongside through the final right-hand high-speed turn and maybe get a dive bomb. Not a dive bomb, send up the inside in turn 1. That's kind of it. And it's kind of a similar story for turn 5, this upcoming turn. You need to be in range of a, what is it? Got a little overspeed going here. I don't have it. I'm gonna try and maybe switch back underneath, covers the inside, go inside. Don't quite have the run for it, so back out of the move. On to lap 10 now, already a third of the way through the race. Defensive line through 3, into 4, opening it up quite a bit. If you aren't side-by-side coming out of 4, or at least near side-by-side, then you're not really going to have a chance of a move into 5, which is big right-hand turn we just went through. Once again, getting some overspeed, and we give him a little bit of a nudge here. See if I can bait him into kind of overcooking on the brakes. He goes inside, I go outside. We both end up hopping through turn 1. Covers off turn 2. Don't really have the move, so I kind of gotta give up on that one. Got 2 guys going off on the right, and we are up into 3rd place. Just like that, we are in a podium, and that is our 2nd safety car of the race. And once again, we're gonna skip ahead to the end of this. Yep, on the restart, lap 12, in 3rd place. Can't pass through the white line, and nothing happens. Drilling. I believe the guy in front of me is Riley Bates, I believe. I could be wrong. At the end of this race, we do end up tied on points, so we are pretty close. We ended up tied on points, or near enough tied on points during the last season. So he and I are pretty close in terms of pace. Once again, getting some overspeed here. See if I can set up a maneuver. And not quite. End up having to take a line, and we do get a run through 2, so we are side by side into 2. Make sure not to overcook it and go into the guy in first. Beautiful switch back into 4. Look at that. Leave the space through this high-speed chicane. Still side by side, moving into 5. And just like that, we are up into P2. And starting P5, finishing 2nd, I think would be a pretty good result. I would be pretty happy with that. That would be my 3rd podium here if I finish like this. All 3 would be 2nd places, which is kind of annoying, but what are you gonna do? Yeah, it's about halfway through the race now, and yeah, the kind of quote-unquote outer edge, like the outer ring of the track, which is this layout here, it isn't quite as, I'll say, demanding as the if we do the infield stuff, which is off to the right there. All of that, but it does add up in terms of just exhaustion, I suppose. I was, if you had the displeasure of hearing the last race, as I go deep here and leave the door open, and we are down into 3rd place. Still is a podium, but you know, could do better. Understeer through 3. I totally forgot what I was talking about. I have no idea. It's frustrating. Oh, so if you had the displeasure of listening to the last race, you'll hear me grunting and groaning, I'll say, around the last half of the race. And it's just me being out of shape, pretty much. Done a little bit of exercise since then, and it was better during this race. I didn't really get nearly as exhausted as I did during round 1, so that's pretty good. I'm really very happy about that. Yeah, it's I am, looks like about half a tenth off the pace of the guys in front, give or take. The 2 guys ahead of me, hopefully they'll end up battling. I'll be able to kind of sneak back into contention or sneak through, ideally. No check behind, nothing there. The pace of everybody was very, very close throughout the whole race. We didn't really end up losing anybody, or like losing like as a group. It was very, very close in terms of pace. So unless you're able to get an overtake into 2, 3, or 4, you were kind of stuck where you were, because the pace difference I think was maybe half a second from top to bottom in terms of fastest lap, which is enough. You know, it's a good amount when it's compounded over 30 laps, but unless you can set it up for an overtake, that's kind of where you're going to end up being stuck, which is kind of how I was running during the beginning of this race, but what are you going to do? You will end up seeing some other karts out on track. They were running 2 classes today. They're running senior and master class. Senior is a class that I run, which is 185 to 220 pounds, 185 pounds to 220 pounds. And then there's a different class running that's 225 pounds and up in terms of driver weight. So you will see them. They're all pretty fast, you know. I think this is the second race they've run that I've taken a part of where they've done both classes at the same time. Adds a little spice into the mix, kind of in terms of managing that kind of setting up, you know, which is just managing traffic, which is something that happens a lot in multi-class racing, IMSA, the World Endurance Championship, and some other multi-class racing series, but it doesn't really happen a lot in karting, so kind of unique. Missed the apex there by a country mile. We are a little over a third of the way through this race. We do have a back marker, not a back marker, guy running in a different class coming up here. Kind of see him up towards turn 1. A little bit of a rear lock there. Can I get alongside into, yeah. Make sure not to overcook it and end up in the cart in front. Back in second and back in third. Just couldn't really get the switchback set up. Or I didn't. I wouldn't say I couldn't, I just didn't. These races are always very, very close, usually. There have been times where it's just 1 or 2 people kind of out in front as guy in the class behind gets out of the way. Great, thank you very much. But the racing here is usually pretty close. In the 7 races I've done, I think there's maybe been 2. And a little bit of contact, and I moved from 3rd to 5th. Try and set up the switchback here. Looking back, I should have boosted girl in pink there, but I did not. That probably ended up costing me a chance at getting back into 3rd. But hindsight is 2020, so can't do much there. That was a little bit of an incident. I did bring it to the race director because at the time I felt I was kind of bump and run, which partially true, but then also into this corner last lap where we had that bit of contact. She was ahead, getting to the apex, so she can run whatever line she wants as long as she leaves space. Jeez, she left space, and I just kind of turned in on her, and that's on me. You know, I can't really complain about that. That's just elbows out racing. But that is definitely on me. I did receive a bump into this turn on lap 23, I believe, which led to the argy-bargy, but not really enough there to do anything about. So I'm not going to end up gaining or losing any positions post-race due to penalties or anything. Which I think is fair. You know, in the moment, I definitely wanted something because I felt I was wronged, but during editing, I looked back at the footage, and I mean, it was definitely on me. It was definitely on me. I can't really, you know, I can't ask for something to be, punished if it was my fault. And I'm the one who lost out, so what are you gonna do? About 3.5 laps left now. Seeing if I can get a move going. A little bit of just narrowly missing Sarah here. And once again, due to the layout of the straight, there is zero chance of getting alongside. Thinking about a dive up the inside, couldn't really make it. I didn't want to hit her on the apex. We are going kind of fast, so I blocked the brakes back there and made sure not to slam into the side of her, because that's what happened 2 races ago at the end of 2025, last race in 2025. We were fighting to not be in last, and I was sending like a half-assed move and kind of got into her a little bit, but making sure not to repeat that mistake again here. Barreling towards, I guess it's turn 10. Is that a straight? It's a flat section. I don't think it's a straight. Got 28, 29, and lap 30. We have kind of lost this group ahead a little bit, just a little bit. A little bit of side-by-side action going there. See if we can catch up to this group in front. The kart felt very, very good during the race. Qualifying kart was different, but during the race it was actually really very good. I liked it. Can't remember which kart number it was. But I mean, it was predictable. It kind of drove how I wanted it to drive. Didn't really have any engine issues or cornering issues. If anything, the engine was kind of turned up a little bit, maybe revved about 10 to 20 RPM higher, so just a tiny little advantage, but obviously can't really do much with that pace if you're me. So heading on to final lap here with a white flag. Through turn 1. Through turn 2. Turn 3, gaining a little bit on the group in front, setting up nicely for turn 4. This kart in front gets a little out of shape, and we are right on her. Onto my good corner, turn 5, as we get a great exit relative to the car in front. We are on the tail, and I know she's going to take a wide line for the last turn. I'm going to try and sneak up, but just couldn't get it done. And that is that, P5. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you all next time. Here's the standings.